Welcome back into the Friday Night 360 AZ preview show. Haley Stasiak and Jordan Ham here, breaking down the state championships in 6A, 5A, and 4A. We're joined now by Centennial head coach Richard Taylor. Coach, thanks for taking the time this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Another trip to state for the Coyotes. What makes this year's team and this state run different from previous teams?
Well, there's a lot of similarities. I would say this team has worked extremely hard. You know, they've had this game on their mind ever since the loss to Williams Field last year. And they've been doing everything they need to do in preparation to get there.
When you look at a guy like Dayne Thomas, who is having a great year, but it seems like when you face off against a Pinnacle or a Liberty, some of these top defenses, that seems to be his best games. What have you seen out of him on those games that makes him really step it up when it's a very good opponent and a big stage?
Well, you know, they say great players play great in big games, and he's the epitome of that. And he knows he's a marked man, and it just seems like the tougher the opponent, he can rise to that occasion and give a little bit more.
We talk a lot about the Coyotes' run game, but what is the benefit of a guy like Alex Escobar who can do it all?
Oh, Alex has been so important to us this year. You know, he runs the ball well, he catches the ball extremely well. He blocks well. He plays great on defense. You know, he is truly a guy that can do everything. And oftentimes, Alex Escobar does not get enough credit for everything that he's done for this team. Plus, he's only the third player in school history ever to be a two-time captain elected by his teammates.
When you look at this regular season record, the only blemish there is that loss week 10 to Liberty. How did your team respond to that loss as they prepared for the tough 5A bracket that they were about to go through?
Well, you know, it was shocking because things seemed to be well in control until 4 minutes and 55 seconds left, and they scored 2 touchdowns and the winning touchdown within the last couple of seconds. It was shocking. I think it brought us back down to earth. I think there's nothing like a good loss to get you refocused and, you know, start thinking about what you need to do. When you keep winning, it's easy to think, you know, we're pretty good. Everything we're doing seems to be okay. And then all of a sudden you lose and you start looking at every aspect, every phase of the game, and you realize we have maybe slipped a little bit. So in the long run, that loss to Liberty, I think, was helpful to us.
What have you seen in Notre Dame Prep's film that stood out to you?
Everything. You got about an hour?
Take as much time as you need, Coach.
You know, they're winners of 16 or 18 games, I'm not sure. But they've won going away. They've won close games. They've won games in which they were behind by 2 touchdowns. They are very strong in every phase of the game. They don't have a weakness.
Coach, thanks so much for taking the time. Good luck this weekend.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye.
Centennial head coach Richard Taylor there. One of the big things that stood out to me with this was his mention of avenging that loss in the state to Williams Field. I think throughout this season, when we've talked to Coach Taylor and the guys on this team, it's been all about getting back to state and taking the title. Yeah,
they've been laser focused. I was at their week 0 game, and that's what they were talking about, you know, back in August when we were all, you know, sweating and you know, it seemed like State was light years away, but here we are. Here is Centennial back in the state title game, familiar territory for them, and you could tell that loss to Williamsfield really hurt, but they returned a lot of those key contributors, those guys that were on the field for that, the Dayne Thomases, the Ruben Beltrans, the Alex Escobars. Those are guys who had experienced it, and I'm sure they don't want to experience it again, so they're going to be ready for this big state title game against Notre Dame Prep.
And we mentioned Alex Escobar, and Coach mentioned that he's a guy that doesn't necessarily get a lot of credit. And he really is a do-it-all guy. I mean, he plays defense, he's a wide receiver, he's a running back, does it all. In your opinion, looking at this matchup with Notre Dame Prep, how much of a benefit is he going to be to the Coyotes in this game?
I mean, it's going to be huge because the secondary for Notre Dame is so good, so the deep passes might not be there, and that's really not I think ideally that's not really the style that Centennial wants to run. They want to ground and pound. They want to sit on the football and really milk the clock, and kind of beat you up on the interior. But what Escobar can do on the offensive side of the ball is show a different look than Dayne Thomas in the backfield, and then he can also catch the ball out of the backfield very well, or go in the slot and catch kind of a short slant, make plays, and it's just one more thing to account for that. And he's just so versatile. And then you put him on the defensive side of the ball. He has close to 60 tackles on the year. It seems like wherever the football is, he's around it in some way, whether it's on offense or defense. So this guy's just a playmaker. I completely agree with Coach. He doesn't get the amount of credit that he deserves because he's been doing this for quite a few years now.
Coach mentioned that he needed an hour to explain what impressed him about Notre Dame Prep. This is probably one of the most exciting out of these three games. I mean, I think all three of these games are going to be exciting matchups, but this one, what makes it so exciting?
Because either way, it's a redemption story. It's going to be Centennial avenging that loss from state from last year, or it's going to be Notre Dame winning after they were banned from the postseason. They lost a head coach, they lost an AD, they lost their spring ball. So much happened in the offseason, but this group stayed focused. They stayed together. That's another huge part. No one really transferred out. They have a ton of experienced talent. George Prelock's leading this team, and he knows most of these guys all the way back from freshman year. So either way, it's going to be a story of redemption, and I just think that's super compelling, and it's probably the most even matchup this weekend as well.
Centennial Notre Dame Prep at Arizona Stadium on Saturday. On the other side of the break, we'll have Chili from Arizona Varsity. Keep it right here on the Friday Night 360 AZ Preview Show.